I haven't had issues like this since the beginning. So. You guys, this is literally like attempt number 7. So if this shit doesn't work, you're not getting an episode this week. I don't know what to tell you. And if I have to, I'll just post this so that you guys can see my irritation and that I'm being genuine. I don't know what the hell is going on. It keeps giving us a hard time. We tried to do a video on the recording platform that I usually use because you can, and it wasn't working. And so then we tried to just do it without, and then it wasn't working again. So we're going to just keep our fingers crossed and try not to jump off a bridge today. I'm eating gummy worms, so I apologize. But speaking of, I know you can't see me, Jess.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid to turn my camera on, but taking a sip of that margarita.
Oh, nice.
Right about now.
Do it. Do it. I think you need it today.
What is happening? All right. We were talking about fucking wins and shit. At this point, this is the biggest fail of the goddamn month. I don't think we need any more fails here, okay? Jesse has a fucking awesome studio space opportunity coming up.
It's that we've talked about 5,000 times already today.
I don't even know. Part of that might still be here. I have no idea. Boy.
We were talking about, yes, I'll have a studio space by the end of the year. Really excited about it. It's a big opportunity for me.
She's staying a bit vague until everything's written in stone.
Exactly.
Which I said is kind of where I'm at, actually. My win, and if I can put in more of what you already fucking said about it, I will. But my win is very similar, where it looks like I'm going to have a really fantastic job opportunity. This one feels incredibly, I don't want to say incredibly guaranteed. That sounds fucking dumb. I don't know. This one feels secure, like it's going to happen because I know these people. It's basically already been stated. Anyway, if that does happen, then I'm going to have a lot more flexibility in like my day-to-day, which is very exciting. So, but I was just telling Jesse before shit hit the fan for the umpteenth time that I have always like watched her go from, being an artist in school and all of that to where she's at now, where she's, getting these studios and these opportunities. And I was saying, I don't want to say that I'm jealous, but it's been like more of a motivating factor for me because I'm an artist as well, but I have always been trapped in like corporate America. And I feel like I've finally kind of gotten out of that. But, seeing what you're doing and, the path you've taken and the different transitions you've made that have just created more and more opportunity makes me wish I had done that a little sooner, but we'll get there. Hopefully this new job coming up, knock on wood, will allow me to focus a little bit more on that. So,
yeah. Well, and like I was saying before, I think the biggest thing I learned was to just, when you see opportunities, just apply to them. Even if you're not entirely sure you're going to be able to do it. My problem is
I don't even have like a portfolio. I don't even have anything at this point. Like I have a portfolio from high school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like I haven't spent enough time, whereas you had a lot more time up until now to really like hone your own style. And like I don't even feel like I know my own style. Like I like so many different things about art. I like painting. I like, I've just started learning like Procreate and all of that. And I like realism, but I also would love to try to learn like, but I also love sculpture. Like I want to do clay shit. Like Jesus fucking Christ, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
I want to do it all.
Well, I think like the biggest thing I struggled with over the years was not bothering to apply to certain things because I just assumed that I couldn't do them. So, and not that I couldn't necessarily get into them, but like if it demanded a little bit more from me, I just assumed that I can't make it work.
No, it's true.
That's my biggest mistake over the years.
It's actually funny because the job that I'm looking at is it's basically kind of an office job, but it's in a creative field.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's not a field that I have worked in corporate America or in that setting before.
Mm-hmm.
So I have never been given the opportunity, especially these days, everybody's applying for everything. So if you ever apply for jobs, it's literally like you and like 2,000 other people. So
Right.
any jobs that I've applied for, it's like I don't even have any experience in this area, but because I know the people for this particular job is why I'm, gonna have this opportunity.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know if you I don't know how you feel or if you follow tarot or anything like that, but there are tarot readers on YouTube, and some of them are really great. I found some really fantastic ones. And after this opportunity came up, it was I think it was just the beginning of this week. I don't remember what day I messaged you guys and told you about it, but I think it was the beginning of this week. And the next day, one of my favorite readers posted like the next 6 months video.
Mhm.
And basically, they're set up for anybody who doesn't follow any of them. And I know this is a very kind of woohoo topic, but for anybody who doesn't follow any tarot readers or anything like that, a lot of the ones on YouTube will do this thing where they have like multiple different piles of cards, like face down, and they'll have some people will just use objects, or some people will use crystals or something on top of each pile. And you pick whichever one you're like, use your intuition. You pick whichever one you're drawn to the most. And then you listen to that reading and see if it correlates. And there's a few readers that I've listened to over the last few years that have been so accurate. And so literally the day following that, the presentation of this offer to me, and I'm thinking the exact same thing. Like, I realize I've never done this before, but I also know that I would like I this is like an environment I would thrive in, and I know that I would do really good. Actually, it lines up very closely with the Etsy shop that I have, so I do have experience in that regard, but it's all just under myself. It's not in like a job setting, like in that, where I can say, "Hey, I've done this for a company," or anything like that.
Mhm.
And so it's very similar to what I'm already doing. And this reader, the whole reading was like about a new opportunity coming up, and she was like talking. She just kept saying stuff like, I feel like, this is a situation where that you'll do really great in this, but because maybe you don't have the experience or maybe you've never done it, nobody's given you a chance, and you finally have found somebody who's like seeing what you're able to offer. And I was like, oh man, it's like exactly my situation. It's so funny sometimes how that happens. So
Yeah.
they really are fun, even if you just listen to them for fun. But they sometimes it's like, what? Like, I've had them be incredibly specific. Like, before I started the podcast, having them be like, I think you're going to start like maybe a podcast or something. I'm like, what the,
Yeah.
So they're fun. They're fun to listen to. But yeah, so mine's the same thing, though I wasn't going to say anything specific about it until, I know it's
Yeah.
for sure. I'm waiting for like the job description information to be passed over to me, and then, confirm like a start date and all that. And then I'll be excited about it. So
Right. Well, it was really cool when this whole thing came up because, when I initially applied, it was requesting for 15 hours of studio time during open hours, which
yeah.
I totally get the reason behind it. But of course, I have a full-time job and I have a toddler. So that's just not possible for me.
Yeah.
So when they had emailed me, I emailed them back and I said, I was really looking forward to this and I really want to do it. I just cannot commit to 15 hours. I can be there after hours and I'll be there on Saturdays, but as far as everything else for participation, I'll have no
Yeah.
problem with. It's just I can't physically be there when you want me to be there.
Yeah.
And it was funny because she was when I talked to her on the phone, she was like, "I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to leave you on red." And I was like,
Oh,
"It's
like
really
a text?
yeah, like a text, but it was through email because it was like 2 days later and I
Oh,
hadn't
that's
heard from
funny.
them yet." And I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh my god." I
You
was like
keep looking, keep looking, keep looking. I know she saw it.
I'm like panicking. I'm like, "I know you're
Yeah.
really busy," but it was funny because they have a waiting list, and so they had actually offered it to the person who was first on the waiting list, and she had applied a couple weeks before I did.
Yeah.
So, when they offered it to her, she basically was like, "I'm just not at that place right now. I work, I have a kid, and I just don't think I can commit to those hours that you need me to be."
Yeah.
And then when they offered it to me, I essentially said the exact same thing. And so what was really nice was that the center was then able to kind of get the board together and have a full discussion about, you know, is it morally right to
Yeah.
deny these opportunities to people simply because they have lives? They've got kids,
Well, I mean, you
families,
have to imagine that
jobs.
most people who have a space like that for the purposes of something creative,
Mhm.
for the most part, it's not their primary source of income.
Exactly.
So, like it is a bit much to expect. Most people work regular jobs or, not everybody has part-time hours with their
Yeah.
regular job or whatever.
Yeah, and I was really glad that that kind of, like, opened up that can for them to talk about it, and, they're like, "We really want these artists in here, but, we can't deny them
Yeah.
simply because they've got these responsibilities that they need to continue." And so she was like, we're in full support of moms. We're all moms too. So we just it felt wrong to be like, oh, okay. And then move on to the next person.
Now, have you heard yet about the person before
Yes.
you?
So they extended that same courtesy to the first person and she decided to take it.
Oh,
But the center said that another space is opening up by hopefully the end of the year.
yeah.
So, and
Good.
that space will be mine.
Yeah.
But they are going to be a lot more flexible with their requirements, which was really nice. Um, so it was a good open discussion, and I'm glad that it happened. I think it's important because I do feel like, especially women in general, we
Mhm.
get shafted when it comes to opportunities simply because we have children. And I
Yeah.
hate to say it, but a lot of the times the childcare kind of gets thrown onto us.
Yeah.
And I feel like men and fathers in general, unless they're like full-time dads or stay-at-home dads or
Yeah.
something like that's what I meant when I say full-time dad. Stay-at-home dads.
Yeah.
Um,
He's just a part-time dad.
just a part-time dad. No. I mean I mean stay-at-home dads because they
That's funny.
exist. But I just feel like if they were to get the same opportunity, it probably wouldn't be as big of a discussion, I feel like, even
Yeah.
if they've got,
Well, it's
kids
tough
and
too
family.
because I feel like and it's not always the situation. Obviously, there are plenty of, relationships where the woman earns more or whatever,
Yeah.
but I feel like I know like in our situations my husband earns more,
Mhm.
and I know Mark earns more. And so it is tough because like at least like up here for instance when there's a snowstorm,
Mhm.
I'm the one who stays home because
Right.
Eddie makes more. He also works retail. And so I'm always the one who just takes the day.
Yeah.
Does he have
Yeah.
time? He does, but he's manager and he's got a team of people to manage and I'm not in that position. So it's totally different. And that's also one of the benefits from this job coming up as well because I'm under the impression that I should be able to be working from home or in their office. So
Mhm.
that'll be good too for like days like snowstorms and things like that because it's stuff that even if I can't be on the phone or something with my kid inside of my actual rectum, I could at least like, do other work
Yeah.
with, with that time. So,
Yeah.
but
But yeah, so it's gonna be good. I do want to talk about what my blood test results ended up being,
oh yeah,
and discuss, the big controversy that's going on lately on the interwebs,
internets.
the internet. But like I said last week, I got blood work done, so I was waiting to hear the results back, and I did talk to my doctor earlier this week, and turns out I am pre-diabetic, which I wasn't expecting. Um, and that was the main thing that she was concerned about, and as well as my cholesterol. My cholesterol was very high.
Yeah.
And the few people I've told, they're just like, "Wait, how on earth are you
I
pre-diabetic?"
know. I was just going to say so for people who don't know Jessie, she's far from morbidly obese or anything like that. She's a very small individual, but this is totally for sure, without a doubt, genetics based
Oh,
because
for
your
sure.
dad's side for sure. Like, what did
Yeah.
mom said your dad had his first heart attack at 36?
Yes.
That's crazy, right? Like
Yeah.
mom at 55 was like considered young. Like that's an age where you need to like tell your doctor your mother had a heart attack at 55. I think that's like the cutoff, like 55 is like the last
Yeah.
year before it's deemed like not normal, but you know what I mean?
I
So
do I do have a very unfortunate family history when it comes to stuff like that.
yeah.
So, just as a quick background, my dad was 36 when he had his first heart
Mhm.
attack, and he had 5 total by the
Yeah.
time he passed away, which was he was 50. And then his parents, my grandpa was 40, I think he was 42
Oof.
when he died of a heart attack.
Yeah.
My grandmother, I think, was younger than 65 when she died of a heart attack. He's had at least, I think, 2 or 3 siblings who have died of heart attacks. And then, of course, mom's side of the family, mom had a heart attack, Nana had a heart attack, and
Yeah.
I think a stroke. Grampy's had strokes.
Yeah.
Our Aunt Diane had a stroke, and then
Mhm.
Nana's
It's
dad
always
died of a
everything
heart
on mom's
attack.
side is for sure heart related too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just very like, I always knew that it was something I was gonna have to deal with. I just didn't think it
Yeah.
was gonna be at the age of 32.
Yeah.
So, it definitely put things into perspective for me,
I do feel
and
like, and I don't know for sure, but what is your, I know you did the DNA testing. So like your breakdown when cuz I believe I could be wrong. I mean, I'm not, and I don't have my own family that is, Hispanic or Mexican,
Mhm.
but generally don't they seem to have more heart issues
Yes.
or cardiovascular issues, like
Yes. I
people
think I've heard
Mexican or Hispanic? I feel like they usually have a higher.
I feel like I've heard that Hispanics do tend to have,
Yeah, I feel like
higher
it's
cholesterol
common.
or blood
So
pressure and
it's
stuff.
not surprising that his whole family does. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I feel like that, but I don't actually know what their actual percentage of what.
Well, and there's also, to take this into consideration, my dad was also a drug addict for
Yeah,
a good chunk of his life, so I think that could explain why he had his first
I'm
heart attack
sure.
so early.
Yeah. For
I
all
think
we
it
know,
was
it could have been
still
drug related. So, you
Yeah,
obviously can have heart attacks from that. So,
yes, and I think, that obviously probably didn't help.
yeah.
I mean, he already had the bad genetics as it was, so,
Yeah.
but yeah, so my doctor gave me a few options. She basically said I need to, lose weight. Like you
I
said,
mean,
I'm
like,
not
how much do they feel you should lose? Because, like I said, you guys, she really is not a large person. So, like,
no.
what's an optimum weight for you? Because
I'm five
I
foot
could lose a
one.
fuck ton, but I'm not diabetic or anything. You know what I mean? I haven't
I'm
had my blood work done recently, but I've never been close to. You know?
I am 5'1", so if
Yeah.
we were to go off of my height, the
Oh,
range
I
of
hate
health
ranges though. They're so fucking dumb. Go
The
ahead. Tell me
what?
what it is. The ranges are always fucking stupid though.
The range for me is, I would say, is normal. For me, it would be somewhere between, like, 110 and 130 would be,
Okay.
like, a healthy range.
See, I
So
wonder if they've changed it then, because let me tell you something. I'm 5'5", and the optimum range for me, I swear on my life, it goes from like 115 to
yeah,
like 145. And when
yeah,
I competed and did my bodybuilding competition at like 14% body fat, which is pretty freaking low for a woman, I was at 142 pounds. So could
yeah,
you fucking ever fathom what I would look like at 115 pounds? I would
yeah.
die.
No,
So
I
I'm always like,
definitely
there's no way that would be healthy for me.
I would definitely be very happy at, like, 130.
Yeah.
I
Like, I
think
feel like I'd
that's
be happy at like 175, but they'd still tell me I'm obese.
Yeah. I
My
just feel
BMI could
like
be like 21, which is great, but
I feel like for me, 130 would be sustainable. I feel like if I was any smaller than that, it would be really hard for me to manage.
yeah.
Um,
So let me tell you something that's very interesting, actually. There's this theory called, oh, fuck, I'm not going to remember the name of it. There's a theory called, it's like, fuck, what is it? It's something about like your, I wish I could remember. It's like weight point or something. So essentially, there's this idea that the longer you spend at a particular weight, the more difficult it is for you to maintain a different body weight. So,
mhm,
like, say I, without much effort, was able to maintain a body weight of like 160 pounds.
yeah,
If I lost weight from that, which would still be considered healthy, if I had stayed at 160 for a long period of time, it would be harder for me to maintain at a lower body weight than just popping back up to that like checkpoint like that
Mhm.
I've created,
Mhm.
which stresses me out because I weigh a lot right now, which I hate, but I feel like I'm like creating this new like point that I need to try to combat because I felt it's so funny because after my competition, I have pictures of myself when I was training still for like the powerlifting competition. And so I had put on maybe like, it was probably, I want to say I was like 162 pounds or something like that. And so I was probably up about 20 pounds from my competition weight. And I thought I was huge. So this is definitely one of the challenges when you do something like a bodybuilding competition is your
Yeah.
mental state after the fact because you feel guilty, you know, putting on any weight when in reality it's not normal to stay at this really low lean status for a long period of time,
Mhm.
but you've tried so hard and you've worked so hard, and then especially if you're someone who's struggled for a long time like I have, it's really hard to not think you're huge. So now that I am fucking huge, I see pictures of myself at that weight and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I was fucking perfect. And it
Yeah.
was it was a good weight for me where like even if I tried to lose weight, I was fluctuating up and down that same like 1.5 pounds
Yeah.
because that was like where I was comfortable. And at that point, I was like, but I can't. I'm so huge. Oh my God, it's so annoying
I know.
because now I'm like, oh, I'd be happy 20 pounds up from that. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, right now where I'm at, I need to lose roughly 30 pounds.
Yeah.
And so my doctor had given me a couple of options, and which is why we're gonna like get into the controversy behind it.
Conspiracies.
So one of them was Ozempic,
Hmm.
um, or the compound version, which is Wegovy. It's essentially the same
Yeah. They
thing.
all have the same active.
And then the second option was Phentermine.
Yeah.
So I was more willing to try Wegovy
Hmm.
because it just Phentermine scared me only because I know it's a stimulant. And
Yeah.
having taken recreational drugs before, and I have taken Adderall
Jesse, you're
before.
such a bad example. I take it to survive.
I'm not a spokesperson for recreational drugs, but I have done Adderall before. And so
As I drink out of the bottle.
I didn't I didn't necessarily wanna feel like that every day because I don't have ADHD. So when I've taken
Yeah.
Adderall before, it's like
Let me
I'm
tell you really quickly my explanation of what Adderall does for me. Because
Mhm.
I know when I wanted to try it, because I was like, I'm pretty sure I have ADHD, which if anybody, obviously, I just cut her off again for the 27th time this podcast so far. Because if I don't, I'll forget. But everyone's like, oh, everyone uses Adderall just to stay up at night and blah, 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 like all this shit, right? Let me tell you, when I took Adderall the first day, I was like, this shit. I told Jay, I was like, this is like the best way I can explain this is like the scene in The Matrix when Neo realizes he's the one, and everything slows down and he's trying to fight Mr. Anderson. And it's like, and he's like slowly knocking his
Yeah.
um, advances away. And I was like, that's what it was like. It was like I was making the kids lunch and I just made the lunch.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like, is this what people do? Like, they don't like start the lunch, but then put the dryer on for the clothes and then start getting themselves ready and then go, fuck, I didn't finish the lunch. And then go back to the lunch and forget about the dryer and then not finish what I was doing. That's my life if I don't take the Adderall. When I take it, it's like everything like meets in the middle, like I
Yeah.
can finish one thing without feeling like I'm going to forget the next thing because that's always the problem. I start one thing, and if I think of something that I have to make sure I do, I stop that thing and start the next thing because if I don't, I will forget. But I've stopped the first thing now, So
Yeah. I
taking it, it's like night and day for me. It's almost like things slow down.
Yeah. And I'll like talk about because I did decide to start taking Phentermine,
Yeah.
and I'll kind of get into what kind of piggy off of that. I was willing to go on Wegovy, but I did not want to spend
Yeah, it's like a
$250
buttload
a
of money.
month,
Yeah.
just in the
And
off
you said that's
chance.
because you're not diabetic officially.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes. So it's not covered by insurance. So I didn't wanna spend that much and then end up having horrible side effects and then
Yeah.
just have it not work,
Right.
and I just didn't wanna drop that much money. So at least with Phentermine, I'm not dropping that much money, and if it's
Yeah.
not working for me eventually, then I'll just, weigh my other options.
Yeah.
But I was nervous about taking Phentermine only because, like, I just remembered when I have taken Adderall in the past, it does make me, it makes me bubblier. I'm more
Yeah.
social.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not as not that I'm like an anxious person, but like I don't know how to explain it. I'm just more like open to just talking to people. Like
Yeah.
if
It is
I
like it does, increase your serotonin.
Yes.
Yeah.
So and in my mind, I'm like, okay, like this is, a good version of myself, which bothers me because I shouldn't need drugs to make me a good version of myself. So
You're kind
that's
of a
what
piece of
made
shit,
me,
though.
huh?
I said you're kind of a piece of shit, though.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so that's what I was nervous about. But I decided to take the chance and, take Phentermine.
Yeah.
So far so good. I don't feel like I'm cracked out of my mind.
Yeah.
It does have certain like energetic effects to me that I've noticed where like
Yeah.
I have similar issues to you, but it's not in the sense of like I start something and then move on like to something else and then move on to
Mm.
something else and then forget the previous thing.
Yeah.
It's more of finding the energy to do the thing in the first place.
Right.
So I
Yeah, I
noticed
have that too. Executive function hardcore is a problem for
exactly.
me.
And so I've noticed the last couple of days, like I'll just start doing the dishes or I'll like
Yeah.
unload the dishwasher and then fill them up with dishes. And then I stop myself and I'm like, oh my God, I just filled up the dishwasher. Like I okay, like where'd this energy come from? So it's been a positive impact on me, I would say.
It's funny because yesterday I did not take my Adderall because I don't usually take it on the weekends all the time.
Yeah,
And, so Eddie came home and he had some groceries and he was like, "We have, like, one of those, like, Tupperware containers that you can put cereal bags in to
yeah.
keep them, like, to throw out the boxes and stuff."
Mhm.
So he's like, "Do you wanna put the, bags in those?" And he took them out and put them on the counter. I was like, "Yeah." So I started doing that, and then Abe said something, and I went in the other room, and then, um, something else happened, and I went in the living room, and then I started making, like, food for Abe or something. He's like, "So, you gonna take care of that cereal or what?" And I was like, "God damn it!" Like, it was like 12 things happened.
But yeah, I mean, and I was explaining to Mark the other day because he was asking about the medication, and he's from the UK. They don't have a big pharmaceutical
Yeah,
presence like we do here. So when you go to the doctor, they're not just throwing prescriptions
yeah,
at you like they are here in America. So he's a lot more cautious when it comes to things like that.
yeah. Eddie doesn't take anything either.
Yeah, and so I was explaining to him, I'm like, "Yeah, I took it the other day." And it's funny because I would be hungry and I'd be like, "Yeah, I could eat." But then I could still move on with my day. Like I could still get
Yeah,
tasks done. Whereas
yeah,
before, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm hungry. I need to eat right now. What can I eat right now? When can I order lunch? What time should I leave to go
yeah,
get
like,
it?"
you're always thinking of
It
it's
was
almost
like
like if you used to smoke cigarettes, like, you're always thinking of the next time you'll have one. It's the
exactly.
same thing with food for me too, yeah.
Yes, yes, and it was like that noise was gone,
Yep,
and I could just eat a normal amount of food. I wouldn't finish it, and I would be
yeah.
perfectly fine with that,
See, now
and
that's how I felt on carnivore. Like,
yeah.
I literally had no cravings to the point where it was almost like, I don't even know what to eat because I usually, especially if I'm trying to, like, limit what I'm eating or trying to stay on a specific diet, usually if I'm, like, making mac and cheese for the kids or something like that, it's impossible for me to not have, like, a bite,
Yeah,
which turns into multiple bites, etcetera.
mhm.
But when I was doing carnivore and it only took about a week to get to that point, but when I was doing that, it was like I just didn't even want it.
Yeah.
and I wasn't hungry as often either. So,
Yeah.
plus I immediately had a reduction in inflammation. Like, I'm super inflamed right now because I've been cleaning houses again, so my hands are swollen and I'm getting numb fingers again, like, carpal tunnel kind of shit.
Mhm.
And I can almost guarantee you if I would just start carnivore like tomorrow and stick with it for like a week, this would go down almost immediately. And I probably
Mhm.
just should. And I do know, like, I know you weren't interested in that or keto, but I do know, and I know there's a lot of people who'll be like, "Oh, it's not actually good for you." One of the few situations that even like regular mainstream doctors will say like keto is actually beneficial for are people who are diabetic. So it's
Mhm.
like one of the few people that they'll be like, "No, this is actually good for you." Like for the
Yeah.
most people don't need to do that. But people who are diabetic, it's actually very good for because it does help with your insulin and shit.
Yeah.
But
And the
I
way
just couldn't
my
believe I've never had a diet or anything that impacted my ability to, like, not care about food. I've always cared so much about food. So
Same,
it's crazy
same.
to not have that, and I really need to just
Well, I found that, after I've talked to my doctor and I'm like, okay, like, yes, I'll take Phentermine, but I still need to change my lifestyle drastically.
yeah,
I need to just
because
eat
it's not a
healthier.
long-term fix. You don't wanna
Ex-
take it forever.
exactly. So eventually I will have to get off of it. And in order to avoid gaining all that weight back, I do
Mhm.
need to get used to a new lifestyle. And I have found that it's been easier for me to deny certain foods than it was before. And only
Yeah.
because I'm now changing the way I'm like saying no. So instead, like if I see cupcakes or something at school, which we have always have fucking cupcakes. This is always a birthday.
Offices are the
And
worst, yeah.
yeah, they really are. And so whenever I see something like that, and before I would be like, "Oh, I shouldn't
You
have
think about
that."
it until you have it. Like,
Yes,
it's always there until you just decide to have it. Yeah.
exactly. And so before I'd be like, "Oh, I shouldn't have that." And now I'm telling myself, "I can't have that."
Yeah.
And it's been a lot easier to follow through with the
Yeah.
"I can't" rather than "I shouldn't."
Yeah.
So, it has been easier. So, I think over the last, like, probably 9 or 10 days, I've already lost about 5 pounds.
Good.
So it's going pretty good
I
so
mean,
far.
it's tough because, right, like, it's one of those things where it's obviously for sure 100% known that sugar affects your brain the same way drugs do. Like, it just
Mhm.
does. It lights up the same parts of your brain and like as like cocaine, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
triggers the same kind of part in your brain. So people are clearly obviously addicted. And when you do find something that allows you to like back away from that, like when I did carnivore for that period of time, when you realize how it feels to not have that addiction, it's kind of mind blowing because you have that realization of like, Jesus Christ, this affects me so much. It's crazy how powerful that is.
Yeah.
Because you know what I mean? Like, because then you have these realizations like, I think about it constantly. It's
Mhm.
always what I think about, carbs or sugars or whatever, you know? Um, and so it is, maybe the idea I'm always so torn because, right, like I worry that like if I were to I'm not gonna take Phentermine again because I did try it before and I didn't like how it made me feel, but I also do take Adderall. I'm not gonna try and do the 2 together. That seems crazy to me.
Yeah.
Even if someone told me it was okay, I don't think I would trust them. But I do feel like at least in this situation, if you have the ability to do it for a period of time that allows you to get some of that like sugar craving stuff out of your system and
Mhm.
kind of re-regulate like what your body is desiring and wanting, that hopefully when you come off of it, it will be easier for you to fight those urges. The problem I think would be it's literally like as if it's like a drug addict. It's like the one time you go, I'm going to have this ice cream today. Fuck. Then you're like
Yeah.
thinking about it again. You know what I mean? So, but
Yeah.
hopefully you'll get to a point where just getting off of it won't cause you to be like, now I immediately want them, because
Yeah.
hopefully you'll have made enough chemical changes in your body to not have those cravings there anymore and that
Yeah.
it's not just the medication doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Um, it's just been interesting to kind of, like, read up on I was going on Reddit a lot to, like, read up on people's experiences with both Wegovy and
Yeah.
Phentermine, and it's just funny how, Ozempic in general is just so controversial, and I think
Yeah.
the only reason why is because it's talked about a lot recently only because celebrities have been admitting to taking it.
Yeah.
Um, and so everyone's kind of like thinking it's this weight loss medication when it's not. It's
Yeah,
specifically geared
no.
towards diabetics.
Yeah.
And
They
it's been
definitely
a
it's like an off-label thing that they've kind of made mainstream for sure.
Yeah, and it's been around for almost 20 years, so
Yeah,
it's not like it's a brand new medication or anything like that. It's been around long enough that we know
right.
how it works and
It
functions and
is
all of
tough.
that.
I think the biggest difference, though, is that, like you said, I don't think that it's been as regularly used for the purpose of weight loss as it is right now. And so, if
Yeah.
someone is not diabetic, what difference does that make on someone? Like, if you're diabetic and you need to take it, the understanding is probably that you're going to take it forever because you're
Mhm.
diabetic. So, if you have to take a diabetic medication, it's generally not going to go away. So, you're going to take it forever. These people are taking it until they get to a weight they like. The
Yeah.
intention is not to take it forever. And so I actually was watching another video. I know I had sent you a few, and there are concerns, obviously, as there are with any medication. And
Mhm.
there are a lot of people who, and I don't know how much, if you've had prior issues with depression or anxiety, if that like makes it more likely that you'll have issues with those if you're taking that. I don't know if that's like correlation or if people who don't have any anxiety or depression history, if they have issues with it too. But I have seen multiple people talking about how it literally has gotten to the point where they thought about like committing suicide. Like it's super serious when they've had these issues.
Yeah.
Granted, you're only seeing the videos these people are posting. There's a bunch of people who are taking it. There's always that. But I was watching a video from one of the doctors that I follow who does recommend carnivore. He's a board certified doctor. He's a regular ass doctor. He knows what he's talking about. And he was talking about it. And again, like he wasn't like, no one should ever take it, or anything like that. But what
Mhm.
he was saying in regards to like the weight loss aspect is what it will do is it will actually shrink and reduce down your fat cells
Mhm.
because I don't know how much you know about fat cells, but in your body you have a certain amount of fat cells. They don't ever go away. So if you lose weight, what happens is your fat cells shrink down, but they're still there. So if
Mhm.
you gain weight, that's why people will gain weight to like that same weight again because they have the same amount of fat cells. So they don't just go away. You're not creating new ones. And you can create new ones, but you're not losing any, right?
Yeah.
So what happens, I guess, with Ozempic or any of these, what is it? What's the main ingredient? The
I have
name
no idea.
the name of the actual active ingredient. Anyway, all of them have it, right?
Mhm.
So, I guess what happens is it will do that. It'll shrink down your fat cells, but it will also sometimes, for a lot of people, create new fat cells. So when they get off of it, because what it does is stops them from having an appetite. So they
Mhm.
lose this weight. When they get off of it, they may have more fat cells than they had before. So if they haven't made appropriate changes in the way they're eating, when they get off of the drug, they're hungry again. They start eating again. They haven't made those changes. And then when they gain the weight, they have more fat cells that are accumulating fat, which means they're probably going to be gaining an additional 10 or 15 pounds because
Yeah.
they now have extra fat cells. So, like it's just one of those things where, yeah, I'm sure it's great while you're on it, but I
Mhm.
would be concerned about after, clearly
Yeah.
I have an issue with it already. So if I don't find a solution that I can do, and that's been my biggest thing, and that's been why I feel like I've maintained the same weight I'm at now, basically since I had Abraham, because I'm trying so hard to find a way to manage my diet that will allow me to do it without having to track every morsel of everything that goes in my mouth, because that's the only way I've been successful, but I can't maintain that. I know I can't. So I need to find something that doesn't feel that restrictive and is easy to follow. And that's why I liked carnivore, because I didn't have the cravings, and it is easy because you know exactly what kind of foods you can eat. So we'll see. Maybe I'll try it again. Originally, I was going to try it as like a elimination diet,
Yeah.
like doing it for like 3 months and then adding in like a vegetable or a fruit here and there once a week or once every 2 weeks to see if I had any reactions to them. And if they caused me to have cravings or caused me to have any, because I get like skin reactions sometimes. I don't know what those are from. Like on my eyes will get dry and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of that, like people have cured like psoriasis doing carnivore. Like a lot of autoimmune stuff is triggered by vegetables and things like that.
Mhm.
Um, So it is good for people who have like autoimmune and stuff like that. But I know it's obviously restrictive, and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do this. But then, like I said, a week in, I was like, holy shit, this is fucking easy. And then I wouldn't be hungry till like 3. And I'm like, I guess I should eat. And it's like T-bone steak. Here we go. That's it. But
But yeah, so I thought this would be like a good platform to keep you guys updated on my Phentermine journey, and then,
yeah,
my journey after Phentermine, and kind of see
I
where
know.
I'm
I
at.
thought
But
about doing that too. Like I had quite an Instagram following when I was not like huge, but I was getting there when I was doing my weightlifting and tracking that. The problem is like I follow this guy who was really awesome. And at this point we're 40 minutes in, so maybe we just keep it about this stuff today. But because I'm not prepared anyway. But I follow this guy on YouTube, and I don't know if he has like a podcast platform too, but it's Obese to Beast. He was very overweight his entire life, and then he just naturally ate better, started lifting weights, and got in shape. And he does a lot of videos where he like talks about other influencers who are like maybe weight loss channels and stuff like that. And I really like the way he approaches stuff. He's very neutral. He's very like compassionate. He's not judgmental at all. I really like him a lot. So if anybody checks him out, he has a lot of followers, so he's easy to find. But that's also where I've seen some Ozempic stories as well. But what was I going to say? Shit. Oh, my brains. What were we saying? Oh my God.
you said you followed this guy who was like not judgmental,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Oh fuck. Oh, no. Okay, so I was saying how I've debated like following, because I think part of the reason I was successful with the bodybuilding was cuz right from the start I made an announcement saying I was going to do it to like
yeah,
social media, and I felt like I had this like thing I needed to follow up on, right? But then at
yeah,
the same time, so then I'm like, maybe if I did that with like an Instagram thing where I'm like documenting my weight loss, maybe that'll help me stay on track. At the same time, again, I kind of go into that. Would that just be because of that feeling like I need to do it for other people? And is
right,
that going to fuck up how I maintain? And one of the things that he talks about a lot is how he'll watch videos of people who are like, I think I'm going to start documenting this. Like maybe people who have like channels that are specifically geared towards the fact that they're overweight. And that's like kind of how they've built their audience, but they decide they're going to try to do it and maintain and like instead turn it into like a weight loss channel. And he
mhm,
always talks about how the biggest challenge there is that, you're putting yourself out there. So if you have a hiccup and you already have these struggles and you don't do as well as you think, or you have a period of time where go backpedal or whatever, you have everyone commenting and all these people following you, and it can really like impact you mentally like a
yeah,
lot. And
yeah,
so that's one of the things that I'm paranoid about, because I thought about doing that and I thought, because I know I've done it and I could do it. But I don't want to have it be, a mental game where I feel like I'm doing it just for the purpose of like social media.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a it's a roller coaster,
Yeah.
for sure.
I do. I think I had told you I do definitely want to like get my blood work done again, cuz for a while, for anybody who doesn't know, I was having a lot of like autoimmune kinds of issues. They thought I had lupus. They thought maybe I had psoriatic arthritis or rheumatoid arthritis, and I had positive autoimmune antibody testing. So that's like a specific blood test that shows whether or not, and people can be positive for it, but there's like different they call it a titer. So there's like different levels of how positive it will be. So there's a lot of people who have no autoimmune issues, but it could be slightly positive. But mine was high enough to be like, this is probably an autoimmune something or other. But
Yeah.
we've never really gotten down to that, because what happens after you get that positive, like I've always had positive inflammation levels. So that's one of the tests they do. And then they did the autoimmune antibody test, which was positive as well. And then they do drill down tests from there that test for like other markers for all of those other things. And all of those always came back normal for me. And we were doing them like in incremental periods of like a couple of months to test again. And I was on medication for lupus for a while. And, then it just started to gradually improve. And I don't know why, because we never really knew what was going on. And it is better. I was having to the point where they did tests for MS. Like there was a particular day where, like, I'm going to give a whole lot of information about my medical stuff here. So for this period of time, it was like a few years at that point. But I was having, this was actually just after the competition and before my surgery. So I did a bodybuilding competition, and then the following year I was training for a powerlifting competition. So in that in between time frame is when I started noticing things going on. And so I started having, at this point, they were assuming that it was some type of seizure, but this would be like, if this happened and I was having a conversation with you, like I could have it happen right now and nothing would change. I wouldn't change my speech pattern, like nothing. I would just feel it. And so it was this weird feeling that I started getting. And at the time, I had just started working in an office again with fluorescent lighting. And I was like, maybe it's something having to do with the light. Like, I don't know what this is, like I started, and it was like such a faint feeling when it would start that I was like, I couldn't tell you when it started. Like, it was such a faint sensation that I was like, I don't know if it's been happening for like 30 seconds or if it's just started now. But it was almost like, how if you're sitting on a desk, right? And you're like kind of have your lips like pressed into like maybe your fist or something, like you're sitting there like that. And when you take them off, they almost feel cool, tingly, not like pins and needles, but almost like a vibraty kind of like feeling. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
It's not pins
Maybe.
and needles, but it's almost like a humming,
Yeah.
vibrating sensation, right? I would get that feeling, and I would get it in my cheeks, in my arms, and in my legs. And so I started noticing, and I was like, I don't know if this is blood pressure. I've always had great blood pressure. And I would try to catch it, but it lasted such a short period of time. Like, it would maybe last like 30 seconds. And then gradually it started lasting longer and longer and longer. And then when I got pregnant, it was happening a lot, like for like 2 minutes straight. And I got to a point of being like really freaked out about it. And so the doctor was like, I had told him already, but when I went back to see him, he's like, is it affecting your muscles? And I was like, no. And then I was like, oh, actually, this is a good example of what it felt like. When you wake up in the morning and you try to make a fist, but you can't tighten your fist that much. Like if you were to try to squeeze your fist, it was almost like that. And I said to him, I was like, it feels nice. Like, this sounds weird. I was like, but when it happens, I kind of want to like put my arms down, and like when you daze off and your eyes you don't blink, when you're like standing there and you're like in a mode and you're like staring off into space, but you know how it feels good and you kind of don't want to like change where you're looking and you're just sitting there feeling it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It was like that. And it would be that like my whole body, like I just want to sit there and be like, this feels nice. And so he's like, it sounds like maybe like a seizure, and they have what is called a focal awareness seizure, which is a seizure that takes place that doesn't impact like you cognitively. And so they were assuming that's what it was. And so I did start taking medication for it. And the problem is I would have months where it didn't happen and months where it did happen, or weeks where it happened multiple times. And then I'd go 3 weeks without it. So it was very sporadic. And so it was hard to know if the medication was doing anything. But then at one point I was having other issues and I decided to stay home from work for a period of time because I was really struggling. And during this time frame, they had put me on a different medication. This was when they tried me on the lupus medication, I believe. And so I was on that. And because I changed medications, I was assuming that it impacted the seizure medication I was taking, right? So there was a particular day where I was at home and I was doing laundry. And so I was like basically sitting on the couch, folding laundry, whatever. I had been walking around that day, no problems. And then I got up, brought clothes in Abe's room, went back to the living room. I sat down on the couch. I picked up another pile of his clothes and I stood up to walk in his room. And when I did that, both of my knees buckled backwards, like not functioning. And I was like, holy shit. And I was like, that's weird. Like, I've always had back issues. So I just thought maybe my back is weird, but it doesn't feel it, So then I took another step. Nope. Did it again, as if they're just not working. Like, my muscles aren't holding my joints together. They're going to buckle backwards every step I take. And I had to bend my knees and walk with bent knees to be able to walk without my legs feeling like they were going to buckle backwards. It was so scary.
That's
And I actually
weird.
messaged my friend that I grew up with who has MS, and we had been talking anyway about health stuff. And I messaged her and she's like, "Are you like numb anywhere?" And I was like, "No." And then I felt my thighs, like the outer part of my thighs. And I was like, "Actually, no, they're completely numb. Like I can't feel them." So that's when they decided to test for MS. Everything looked fine there. They've never been able to figure out. And this happened multiple times. Like it happened and it was weird. So it would get to a point where like I could tell it was going to happen. Right. So it would be this sensation where I could just be standing there and all of a sudden it would feel like you just did a massive leg workout. Like, when you've done like lots of leg workout and you go to like straighten your leg and lock your knees, you know how your legs feel quivery and like weak?
Yeah.
Mine would feel like that. And I was like, oh shit, it's going to happen again. And then within 15 minutes, they would like stop working. And like, then after that for like 3-4 hours, like say I would lay down with one of the kids to help him go to sleep. It was like dead weight. Like my legs were like sandwiched on top of one another as if they just like I was aware of them. It was almost like out of body experience. Like I was aware of how heavy they felt on top of one another. It was the weirdest, right?
Yeah.
They've never figured out what it was. I've not had it happen again. However, I've had some weird like weakness in my joints just recently. But yeah, I mean, I have no idea. I don't know. So I
Mystery.
do want to have my blood work done again just because it's been a few years now because that did slowly taper off. And now I'd be curious to see if any markers show anything else. But even then I thought, oh, I've not had my blood work done since I had Abe or no. Yeah, not recently. It's been a few years. And I'd be curious because I'm heavier now. I'd be curious to see what my cholesterol and all that is at. And then if I went on carnivore to see if any of those markers would change and see what it did,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was weird. I have been diagnosed with peripheral neuropathy. So they did a nerve test on me when all this leg stuff happened. That came back normal. But then they do this thing called it's like a puncture. Like it's like a hole punch. They take like a hole punch of your skin. It's like this perfectly round little circular patch of skin they take. It's like smaller than the tip of an eraser,
Yeah.
and they take it and then they send it off for testing. And they did this because I also get, it's so funny because there are things that I have always just thought were normal for everybody. You know how that happens and you're like, well, but you know how, like I remember I said to Eddie, I was like, you know how you sometimes will get that like sharp shooting pain inside your bone and it's like zap, zap, zap. And he's like, no. And I'm like, what do you mean? That doesn't happen to you? And he's like, no, babe, that doesn't happen to me. And I was like, seriously? And I was like, no, like it's just like for a couple seconds, it's like, ow, 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 ow. And then it's gone. And he's like, no. But
It's like the Tom Segura joke where he's just like, wait, people don't shit like that every day?
How often do you shit like that? Every day. And then she's like, what is it? What did she ask him what it looks like? He's like, I don't know. I just paint the bowl and flush it down. She's like, you don't look at it? He's like, what do you want me to do? Count the pieces? It's so funny. Yeah, no, but it's true because I was like, I just thought everybody got that. And then it got to a point where it was like I would get it. Like there was one night where it was like 2 straight hours of ow, 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 ow. And it would be like on my ankle, on a toe, on my thigh, on my shoulder, on my hand. And it's like, what the fuck? It's like lightning bugs, right? Like, and it's like, it just hurts. And that is telltale peripheral neuropathy, which I didn't know. And they test it by taking a skin biopsy and they send it out. And so for a normal person in these like skin tests, they might find like 600 nerve endings, right? Mm-hmm. For someone with peripheral neuropathy, it's like 40. So it's like nothing's working right,
Yeah, yeah.
And so it just causes like misfires and stuff. So I do take medication for that. The medication that I take for that is also my anxiety medication, which is cool because it's like 2 for 1, And I know when I don't take it because I'll either get zapping pains or I'm a raging bitch. So if I forget to take it, I'm like, that's why I'm a cunt. But
sounds like a period.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Oh boy.
But yeah, so I would be curious, but I know, and I feel like especially with all that stuff, I definitely need to get in better shape again. It's just been feeling like so much, especially after you have kids, when you have little kids, it's like
God.
constant, putting fire out after fire out after fire out and never being able to go like, what can I do this second? No.
Speaking of which, I need to tell my poop story.
Please do. Oh, they're the best. Do you know what we usually call these? Poopocalypse.
Poopocalypse.
Yeah, it's a poopocalypse story.
Poopocalypse.
It's a good one too.
Okay.
This will be a good ending note.
Yes, I've been going to the
Doesn't love a
gym.
good poo story.
Yeah, my poop story. I've been going to the gym, and I just recently started the strength training classes. So I've been like interacting with different instructors than I normally do. And anyways, I was running late. I think it was Thursday. I was running late to my class, and it's Freddie's picture day.
I love
So
that it was picture day. So much better.
it was fucking picture day. And I was smart and I put him in a completely different outfit because he's
Yes.
been teething and he's been having a lot of blowouts lately. So I didn't want him to like mess up his outfit. So I was smart and I prepared myself. I didn't quite prepare myself for what actually happened. But I was running late to the class, and so I was like, "Oh, that's fine. Like, there's a spin class that starts at 7:25. Like, if I'm super late, then I'll just see if I can change my reservation to that class." And so we get to Mount Pleasant, and I hear Freddie crying, and then I start smelling something, and I was like, "Oh God, he probably pooped." So then we get to the parking lot of the school, and I open the door, and to my horror, he's playing in his poop. It had fallen out of his diaper, and it was covering his legs, his arms,
Oh my God,
his
it's so
face.
bad.
And
The fact that you said it's on his face, I'm like, dude, that
It was-
stresses me out so much. I always worry about eyes and
I know. I was like, holy mother of God, I did not expect this. So I'm already late as it is. So I'm like kidding him out of the car seat, and I'm like, I can't have him anywhere near me. Otherwise, I'm going to be covered in shit. So I'm like,
it's one of those like, what am I gonna
I'm like
do?
rushing him to his classroom, and I see his teacher, and I was like, I am so sorry. I am late for my class. He is covered in shit. I apologize. I'm going to try and help you like clean him up as much as possible. I was like, but I'm going to need to clean my car because right now that's a mess. So I'm grabbing a bunch of wipes and I go to clean out the car seat. And honestly, I could vomit right now just even thinking about it. I was in the parking lot, like trying to scoop up the poop.
Oh.
I was very close to puking. There was vomit in my mouth and I had to suck it back. And because you remember, I work at the school.
This was definitely not just a shart.
No, it was not just a shart. I work at this school, okay? There's parents that are picking or that are dropping their kids off. They cannot see me vomiting in the parking lot. So
I'm not sick. It's just shit.
So I'm like trying to clean it up, and then one of the teachers comes over and she's like, "Good morning," and she sees my face. She's like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And I was like, "No, I'm not okay." So I'm like, I'm sucking back the vomit. I clean it up as much as I can. I get to the studio, and the instructor sees me and he's like rushing me in, and because at this point I'm already 15 minutes late, and he's like, "Is everything okay? What happened?" I was like, so my son had a huge blowout and he was playing with it in his car seat. And he's just kind of laughs. And I was like, yeah, so that's why I'm late. I'm really, really sorry. And so then he's like, okay, just pick any station and you can just get started. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so I get 2 minutes into my workout and I look down and there's a giant piece of poop on my shoe. And I was like, fucking hell. So I'm like, okay, I got to clean this up. So quickly I go over and grab a couple of wipes and clean off my shoe. And then I go back to the station and start working out again. And then I look down on my other shoe and there's still some smeared on that shoe.
It's so bad.
I'm just like, well, this is embarrassing. Mm-hmm. And so then I go grab another wipe and he comes over to me and he's like, did you find any more shit on you?
You're like,
I
"No, but
look
I'd
like
like to
I'm
find a closet that I could hide in for a little bit if you don't
like,
mind."
first of all, dude, if you saw this, could you have, like, said something to me?
Oh,
Just
man,
to
I
wait to see how
swear.
long it took me to realize that I was covered in poop? Yes. Good.
Oh, kids.
So that was hands down my fail this week
Mm,
for
mhm.
sure.
Yeah,
Uh, oh my
that's
god.
funny.
I still have nightmares about it.
Oh, it's the
Yeah,
worst.
and he doesn't normally have blowouts, that's the thing, so you can tell he's so
Yeah, it's
uncomfortable.
just a period of time.
Yeah, and he the night before that, he had gone in the bath, and he had pooped in the bathtub, and he's
No.
never done that before, to my
Abe's done it, like,
surprise.
once or twice. Ivo never did it, though.
Yeah, he looked stressed, like, he was playing, and then all of a sudden, I hear him go, like, kind of whining and crying a little bit, and I
Yeah.
look over, and I'm like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, and then I just see poop floating in the water, I'm like, "God damn it." I'm gonna have to bleach the whole tub along with his toys. God.
Kids are
So,
gross.
they are, and he looks so, like, uncomfortable, and I feel so bad, so, I mean, like I said, he doesn't normally do that, but
It's so funny, though.
yeah, that was probably the mommest moment I've ever had
Yeah.
in my life so far. Was that.
Oh. Mm,
Something out of a
kids.
movie.
I love it, though.
Well, I love that we're an hour in and we didn't talk anything, you know,
That's okay.
that's totally
It's the
fine.
Shart Show for a reason.
You know what? I give us some grace, okay? We made it to an hour without
Yes.
this thing turning
We
off on us.
recorded. Yes, and we recorded. I feel like trying to do it with the video fucked it up. Like, maybe we can both use our phones next week, and I'll try and figure out that'll be the challenge. We'll be trying to figure out how to put the 2 together because I haven't had to
Yeah.
do that, but I'll figure it out.
Well,
And
it was
then
a good.
next week then, I will plan on my conspiracy theories because I have quite a few that I thought would be fun to talk about,
Okay,
but I
cool.
gotta get going because, Eddie has to go to work for the night because they are
Yeah,
doing inventory, so
yep, well, it was a good chatting about,
yeah,
her
chatting
health
it up.
journey and,
Yeah, not as,
Ozempic.
like, funny, I guess, but that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, you
Whatever.
never know who it might help in the future, I
The
guess.
poop was funny.
Yeah, at least out of that. So, if, oh, well, I guess, well, maybe disclaimer when we post about it. Hey, if you wanna get to the funny stuff, get to the end.
Yeah, yeah. I thought you were gonna say trigger warning for poop, and
Yeah.
I was like, "I swear to God, I'm gonna punch you. If I could punch you through the
No.
fucking computer, I would." I hate the trigger warning shit. I've talked
Uh,
about that. I just feel like if you need a trigger warning, you know what that tells me? That you have some fucking work to do on something that makes you feel
yes.
like shit. If you can't listen to something because it talked about a topic that makes you go, figure that shit out because, you know,
We can't all censor ourselves.
no, no,
No.
no, stupid. Anyway,
Well, thanks for the,
alrighty.
anxiety-filled afternoon.
Yeah, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm glad that took 12,000 years, but
Yeah, we
Eddie's gonna
started.
be like, "Where you been?"
Yeah,
Eh."
yeah. We spent a good hour
Yeah,
and 20 minutes just trying to
yeah.
figure this fucking
Fucking
recording out.
stupid. I know. I'm gonna do
Um,
some research and see if I can find a platform that does it better. It would be so nice to be able to record it all with video at the same time, but
yeah,
certain things, like, I know you can record, like, Zoom, but the quality is not like, you would want for a podcast kind of a thing, so it's not the
yeah,
same. It's like recording for, like, businesses to have, like, the information recorded. You know what I mean? Like, it's
yeah.
different, so but I'll figure it out.
Well,
All right.
thanks for the
Well, I hope
chat.
that you enjoy your afternoon.
Alright, you too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.